Yeah, we just start like we're talking now, bro. That's how we do, man. They don't even have to go, no introductions.
swear?
Yeah, akhi, man, just casual like how you just talking, bro. Wallahi.
Alhamdulillah,
Just
that's
keep it
good,
like
man.
that. So the name of your Instagram, what is it?
A healthy mindset.
Healthy Mindset. So how did that start?
So basically, after I become Muslim, like I was kind of on a journey, you know, trying to better myself mentally, physically, and spiritually. Before I become Muslim, I was looking at like Malcolm X, how he memorized the whole of the dictionary and stuff like that. So I was taking a lot of inspiration from like Muhammad Ali. I remember I used to pray like in the morning and in the evening, just like my own prayers, like put my hands together and stuff.
This is before you was Muslim.
Before I was Muslim, and I used to listen. And then I remember Muhammad Ali's 70th birthday, and they documented it. And I watched it, and it's like, this guy's waking up at 3 a.m. to pray. It made me think, I'm like, there's me thinking I'm close to God, because I always felt like I was close to God, even when from young to being older. But I was just like, wow, I might have to do more. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I kind of got that jealousy, but like I was inspired, you know?
Yeah. It's good jealousy. Like, you want to be like that.
Yeah, so then I just thought, do you know what? You know, like, so then obviously after I become Muslim, I was like, I don't want to bait my name out too much. Like, I don't want to be having my name out there and stuff. Because I was always, like, my sister used to always say, like, you know, she was that kind of person. She's always scared because, like, putting your information onto the internet. She's still like that. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, so it rubbed off onto me. So I was just like, what can I call myself? And then I was like, you know, a healthy mindset. Like, that's how I feel right now. I feel healthy. Like, my mindset feels good. I was 23, 24 years old, man. And I just thought, you know, like, I'm on this journey. That's my name, healthy mindset. And yeah, man.
And did you have a vision at the time for it, though?
Yeah, man. I was just like, do you know what? I want to be doing motivational things, training. Maybe because, alhamdulillah, like not like you guys on your level, but when I first become Muslim, I was giving dawah to all of my friends. Made sure I sent the message to all of them. And alhamdulillah, two of my closest friends become Muslim. One got married with under a year. The other one's married now, got a kid, and he's in Abu Dhabi. And then a few other people took their shahadah. So I was just like, I love this journey I'm on. Like, my mindset just feels good. You know, I feel productive. And then started training hard and playing football. And I remember after my first Ramadan, I was playing football and I was fasting. And everyone was like, how are you doing? I'm just like, it was a new journey for me. And it's just like, that's not too bad, yeah. And then I was on a trial for Hemel Hempstead at the time.
Okay.
And I remember I scored, and I'm a defender.
Okay.
So I was just like...
Ramadan.
Yeah, during Ramadan, man, and I felt fit, like, you know, and like when I'm playing, I'm talking more, I'm like, come, people are like, you're fasting, how are you doing it? And it's just like...
We were saying it, who was we talking about? We were saying in Ramadan.
Give you an extra energy, an extra
Who was
boost.
we saying that with?
Dan Aziz.
Was it Dan Aziz? Was it? Yeah. We were saying in Ramadan, there's something about the atmosphere that it gives you that energy.
Yeah.
From nowhere. You don't even know where it's coming from. You can push more, you can run more, you can fight more, everything.
Definitely, man. It's just because it's clearing out you're clearing everything. Your mind is clear. And it's like I always say to my clients, I say to them, like, some of them are like, oh, I might want to start after Ramadan. I'm like, trust me, start in Ramadan.
Yeah.
So Ramadan is, you know, to find your equilibrium, like spiritually, mentally, and physically, because it tests you physically, tests you mentally, and it tests you spiritually. Don't neglect physically just because you're thinking to yourself, it's like, I need to pray. Allah wants us to complete all of that, you know? So it's about, the physical thing is about going through that hardship while you're fasting to make you mentally stronger and physically stronger, you know? And then in the evening, you're praying, that's spiritually, you know? Because we're not praying the whole day, so we have to be, we can't just wait praying and go and relax until we're eating. We have to be active as well. And it's a whole, and I love it. It's like, it's the best thing. Ramadan training, it's like, I always think to myself, I can't wait until when I leave Ramadan, I'm going to be smashing my goals. Like, because if I can do this now, and my best months are always after Ramadan in terms of like training, and, you know, you just get that fresh recharge, like your battery is just ready to rumble.
Yeah.
You know, so...
We were in a battle of Badr, Ramadan. Conquest of Mecca, Ramadan. The Muslims entered Spain, Ramadan. So a lot of, like, you know, historical battles in our history took place in the blessed month of Ramadan.
So everyone should be battling, doing through everything in life, you know? You should not just putting things on a back burner. It should be, okay, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to accomplish this battle. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be more spiritual, everything.
When you said 23, you started healthy mindset at 23.
So after I've become Muslim at 23. So around 24, I think made Instagram about 24, and that's when I made the healthy mindset name.
And you connected it to Islam, obviously. Is that
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was just like, you know what, like I feel healthy, my mindset's good, healthy mindset, boom, simple.
And what, I mean, you mentioned Muhammad Ali, inspiration, you know, and he inspired a lot of, you know, individuals. May Allah have mercy on him. Other than Muhammad Ali, were there friends around you? Were there family members? Was it brothers around you? What
Yeah, so
led you to it?
So the thing is, I grew up with my grandparents. They were Catholic, Orthodox, and they'd go to church Sundays and stuff like that. And my sister, she became Muslim at the age of 15 all by herself. She's 9 years older than me. So when I was young, I remember hearing about her become Muslim. My grandparents were confused. They're like, oh, how come she's like, you know? So then she would always talk to me about Islam. But she never really talked to me about like too much detail, because she didn't know much. But she would always just say, believe in one God, believe in one God. Don't put no partners. Don't say Jesus God. So it just, I was like, yeah, this is fun. Like, this is what I do anyway. So it was normal. Like, I always had that in me to just believe in one God without going into too much detail about knowing how to pray and stuff like that. It was just like, and then when I hear like the Prophet said when he was just getting everyone to believe in one God in 10 years, for like the first 10 years without any prayer, that's kind of like how my life was from young. It was just, I always just believed in one God, you know, I just kept it simple. I just prayed and stuff like that. And then, you know, she was like a role model in terms of just how she was when I was growing up. She was very mature. I always saw her as an adult, even though she was only 9 years older than me, but she was just very headstrong, like, you know, and I always...
It's unique though. Did she ever tell you why she became Muslim at 15? That's very unique.
Yeah.
Like, you hear a lot of boys turning 15, but not girls. I haven't personally heard a lot of girls turning Muslim at 15.
Yeah, so... With my sister, because we grew up in the countryside in Cheshire. So I moved to Watford when I was about 11 years old. And it was like, the house was known to have some sort of spiritual activity, you know, like even like my sister saw like a leg appear from the bookshelf. And the thing is, I remember I was playing in the garden football with one of my friends. He wasn't like religious or anything. And we're playing football and all of a sudden he's ran into the house. Like, just randomly ran, and he was just like scared. I'm looking at him laughing, yeah, and then he's like, I saw a leg pop out of that wall. So, like, I was like, huh? And then my sister heard it, like, obviously my sister was there at the time. She was like, I saw something like that when I was younger, you know? So the house was very...
Haunted.
Yeah, like, the thing is, like, my great-grandfather, he was Jewish, and he was known to be a Freemason. Okay. He had a Mason card. It's like a, you know... And
story's gone down a very weird place.
Yeah.
We're flowing with it.
But my sister just found a card, basically. Okay. Because his name was Grampy. And so you know the house is like brought in a weird way. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So anyway, so back to my sister. So she would hear voices and stuff like that at a young age. Like, and she would get a sense of feeling safe, but then she would like be scared. So when she went to school, she was... asking her teachers, like, I'm hearing these voices and, you know, these things are happening. And they were basically just trying to say to her in a nice way, like, just being crazy, like, but ignore it, basically. Yeah. But she wanted to find out. So she looked into Islam. So then when she read out about the jinn, she knew this is what she was coming across, you know. So she went to a mosque herself and she said, I want to become Muslim. She took her shahadah just from that. Man. Allah guides however He wills, you know.
She read herself. There was somebody.
Nobody told her. She went herself, you know. And where we grew up, there was, you have to have the Asian kids and stuff like that were Muslim and stuff like that. But she didn't really have no insight to Islam apart from the media kind of talking about stuff, you know. And then she became Muslim, and then she started learning and stuff. And she was always telling me about, she was getting me scared at a young age. Yeah. But then she was telling me about believing in one God. And
telling you about jinns and iblis.
Yeah. And then she'll be telling me about, like, she researched a lot into, like, because obviously she didn't have YouTube back then. So she'll do a lot of studying, like, even into, like, Freemason, like, how they do the symbolisms and all of these, like, crazy things. And her telling me that when I was young, I didn't see any of this around. And as I'm getting older, I'm seeing all these signs and stuff. And she's saying, like, music, like, it will become worldwide. And obviously back then you had Tupac, Dr. Dre. So it's like, you have to be, like, you know, you have to be talented to be a musician. And then when I'm getting older, I'm like 19, 18, I'm seeing people on the street on Channel U. I'm like, bro, like what my sister was saying is like, it's true. Do you know what I'm saying?
Anyone
Like,
can be.
yeah, so then as I'm getting older now, YouTube's come about. So I'm starting to look into all of this like Illuminati. Cause I'm like, this is mad. And I'm starting to show all my friends. And my sister used to always tell me about things like chips and all this crazy stuff. And you know, you see with the COVID and how they're trying to push towards like getting chips and all of these things. And it's just like, and then friends that I was telling when I was younger, like in 2020, they're like, I remember you used to tell me about this when we was like 17 years old.
They probably thought you was crazy at that time.
I was crazy at the time. And it's just like...
Man was laughing because he was probably one of your friends that would have said you're crazy. That's why he's laughing.
You know, but when my sister used to tell me this stuff when I was younger, it always stuck with me, you know, like it made me think a lot. It was only until like when I was like 14, because I moved to Watford when I started hanging around Watford when I was about 11 or 12. And then I moved there when I was 14 because my sister moved out at a young age as well. We both moved because we didn't want to stay in that house, man. So we both moved and I lived by myself. So unfortunately, my grandparents passed away. And then so I had to like move and then like, grew up in Watford. And then obviously I didn't really have much reminders much. So I always believed in one God, but you just kind of get caught up in lifestyle.
You and sister didn't live with each other no more?
No, so she was further into London, you know. So I'd see her, but it wasn't like frequently, whereas when I was younger. And then you know, I just started going to church and stuff like that. But I just, you know, when you go to a church and then they're still talking about Christianity, Jesus, God, and it wasn't sitting right with me. Like, I was like, what's going on? Like, I'd say to people I'm Christian, but it just like, when I'm hearing the message, I'm like, something's not right here. So I just prayed, man, one time, just prayed. And I was just like, God, whatever the true religion is, please guide me to it because I'm in a state of confusion. I had a tear in my eye. And then the next day, AJ, Anthony Joshua, he messaged me saying, look, we've been going to church, because I was going to church a lot with him because he was on tag at the time. So it was like, we were just trying to better ourselves. So the next day he messaged me saying, you know, we've been going to church, how about we try mosque? Literally this day after. So yeah, and then the rest was history. And then, yeah, man.
So from that, so he's the one that told you to go to the mosque?
Yeah.
Because when I look at your thing now, it looks like you're trying to lead him to the mosque.
Yeah, no, he told me to, man. But, you know, alhamdulillah, man, he's a good guy, man. And we went, and then someone else messaged me that same week. And then I was just like, do you know what? I want to go to a mosque. Like, what was a good mosque to go to? And then they introduced me to two more brothers who are more knowledgeable. And then we set a date on a Sunday. So me and AJ actually went to the mosque. When I saw how they were, they just stood there, prayed. And then we went for a meal after. I was like, I like this. It's just like, you know, you're about your day, you go pray, and then you go continue with your day. Whereas when I was kind of going to the church, it's like I'm there for like an hour listening to them talking and stuff, which is good. It's more like a self-help book. Like they said some good messages and stuff, but it just, at the end, then they give you a leaflet to put money in. I just felt like, you know, I can't do this every week. It's not something I can do every week. Being a young, active guy, like I can't commit every Sunday. It didn't feel realistic. Whereas when I went to the mosque, it was like, this is something like more subtle. Like you just pray, you can be wherever you want, you just pray and then you leave, you know? So it just made a lot more sense at that time. And then...
So at that time, didn't you, like a lot of people that become Muslim, they will say they've done years of research or they learn about God, oneness, or they learn that the Prophet ﷺ was like this, that. For you, was it more the feeling of being there, or was it linked also to your sister also becoming Muslim?
It was a lot of things. I was getting a lot of signs of her. When I look back at after I took my shahadah, like the leading thing. So I always listen to a lot of hip hop. I like to listen to a lot of old school hip hop because there's a lot more to do with like lyrics and stuff like that. A lot more messages in the songs. And then I used to notice like a lot of the rappers would convert to Islam. One of them was Napoleon. So when I'm on YouTube and stuff, I'm listening, I'll type in Napoleon, then I'm seeing he's got talks. So I'm like, so he's doing talks now. So I thought, let me listen to some of his talks. I remember he had a really good talk one time, one of his first talks, and it hit me. And I remember just being like, you know, I'm Muslim. I said it to myself, but I didn't know I had to take a shahadah or anything. But this must have been like maybe around about a year before I actually took my shahada. But it was like little signs. I was just like, you know, I really like this, you know? And then obviously I just carried on going and going about my day to day, and then what else? And then so when I actually took my shahadah, I didn't actually know about praying and stuff like that. I just went and took it, and then the brother who was showing me, he was like, "Look, you need to pray, learn this sort of fatah." I started learning, and then alhamdulillah, like, you know, ever since, the brother taught me well, because alhamdulillah I haven't missed one salah, in terms of like maybe missed the timing, but I've always made up for it because of my diary that I used to have when I used to put 2 prayers. I just swapped that to 5. Okay. So I was making sure that if I had missed something, I'll make up for it. So I remember the first year, and it come to Ramadan, and he was just like, he knew about my diary. He said, "This is amazing that you have this and you write down everything." So he was just like, "Look, any prayers that you've missed, just make up for them. It's better to do that than sunnah." So I just literally made up for all my prayers. I just went through my diary one time, just made up for all of the ones I've missed, and then after that, I was on track. And I was
Your leg
like,
must have been burning that night. I said your leg must have been burning that day.
I made it up during the whole month, man. Because I think I missed about 100 from what I missed, because it was like 5 a day. So I might wake up, pray Fajr, then I might miss a couple in a day.
And you was writing all this down when you was
I'll
missing
tick
it?
the ones that I've done.
Okay.
So I'd have 5 boxes in the order of the salah.
Okay,
So every page would have, and then I'll tick, and then some days I'll do a whole 5.
Yeah.
And then obviously, because I didn't know how you have to pray, like how serious it was, he just said, whatever ones you've missed, just make up for them.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, cool. So obviously during Ramadan, I wasn't missing no prayers, but then I was just like, okay, cool. Let me just, instead of doing sunnah, just make up the ones that I've missed. And I just made up all of them, and I felt really good when I made it up. I'll tell you.
That's a big positive, because a lot of people would miss and don't even think about making up. So to understand, look, the seriousness of it, let me at least mark it down. I haven't prayed it.
Yeah.
And then make it up. That's a positive. But I was going to ask you, Akhi, so inshallah, we'll ask you about AJ later on, because you're part of the AJ, you're part of the team, and with
do you know what? I don't really like to class it as like team or anything like that, because he's his own man, I'm my own man, you know, and it's more of always like a subconscious thing when it comes to me helping him or him helping me. It's like, we're just boys at the end of the day. Like, I don't put him on a pedestal to any of my friends. Okay. I have love for him because he's one of my closest friends. Did
you grow up with him? Because you mentioned
I grew up from like I've known him since like 11 or 12 years old, and you know, it was love straight away. I remember when I saw him come down he was on a bike and was at McDonald's outside in Watford, and he just come down on his bike, and he like put your foot on the back just to like slow it down, because obviously I was with friends that he knew. So, and he was like, "Oh, what's your name?" I told him my name, and then he was like, "Wait, what country you from?" I said, "I'm Nigerian." He was like, "So am I." He was like, "We're cousins now." Just straight. You know how he is, isn't it? Yeah. I still remember because obviously back then I was a new guy coming into the Watford, whereas people already knew who he was. Like, even though like he's kind of always been famous because of his height. He was athletic, like always winning like the what's it called, like the not Olympics. So you
were doing boxing from before?
Like, you know when
amateur boxing?
No, like sports day. That's the one. Always winning, like, and the county sports days. It was always him and his sister. They were really fast. So everyone kind of knew who he was. So he always had that aura, you know. And
him in terms of he said, let's go to the masjid, to the mosque and stuff. Yeah. So has he, because he's your friend and you've known him for a long time, a sense of respect for Islam and the Muslims because of you? Is that there?
He has a big respect for Islam, man. Like, alhamdulillah, like, you know, may Allah guide him and bring him to the deen, man, because he's got one of the biggest hearts I know, without a doubt. Like, sometimes I look at his heart and I look at a Muslim friend, I'm just like, this guy has a bigger heart. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, but, you know, Allah guides who he wills. And I have a couple of friends, not just him, but a few of them that I'm just like, I know when the time comes, they will be on their deen, you know, but it's just, Allah has a time. He knows everything. I remember asking one time, I said, do you believe the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger? He said, yeah. I said, do you believe Jesus is God or a messenger? He said, a messenger. So, but that, you know, everything is in people's times, you know. So I don't want to put no titles on him. That's for him to do. But just may Allah guide him. And
somebody mentioned that, you know, there's a picture of him in Dubai praying with a group of brothers, and I think he mentioned, I was just experiencing, I was in the mosque and I wanted to experience it. But somebody mentioned that you were in that picture, or you were the one leading or something. Is that correct?
That was in Dubai. Yeah. So how that come about was, it was just we was doing a tour. It was Dubai tourism, because back then there was investing a lot in tourism and stuff like that. And obviously, they invited us to all go to a mosque and do other excursions and stuff like that. And at the time, it was Asr time, so I was just like, guys, I'm just gonna pray quickly, and then I'll come and join back on the tour and stuff. And then he was just like, oh, let's pray with you, you know. So he was just like, all right, I was like, all right, cool. And then I just started, and then him and my boy Skins, they just followed behind, and we all just prayed together. It was really nice, man. Like, really nice. So,
MashaAllah, alhamdulillah.
man.
Oh, cool. So going back a bit now, you said 23 you became Muslim.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you said you lived with but I haven't seen you mention your mum and dad, so I don't know if that's a...
Yeah, so my mum always lived in London.
Okay.
But she would come see my grandparents, stuff like that. And then my dad, he was always back and forth to Nigeria. So I kind of saw him more as I got older in life. But when I was like kind of in my teen years, I didn't really see much people because I was just like caught up, you know, just, you know, being a teenager and stuff like that. So yeah, but now I'm really close with my mum, close with my dad, and our relationship's really good, man.
So is it just a phase at that time of your life, basically, that they was busy with work or something?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of, you know, being young, I grew up quite fast, knowing that like my grandparents passed away, experiencing that, it matured me quick. I always had my sister telling me, you know, like they're going to pass away one day. So she always prepared me, you know, even though like before it happened, it would hurt me a lot. Like I'd cry like because I knew they're going to go one day. But then it was good my sister was always preparing me, because when reality strikes, I was ready, you know. So I actually didn't shed a tear as when they actually passed away until maybe obviously after it sunk in. But it was like I was kind of ready for the occasion because I just knew they was getting on a little bit, you know. So then, but obviously as soon as my grandfather died, I was just like, okay, I've got to be a man now, you know, because he was the manly figure at the time. And then I was just like, okay, I've got to make some decisions. And with the wisdom of my sister and stuff like that, it helped me kind of set a direction of what I want to do. Even though I got caught up in the wrong things here and there, I always was sincere in trying to be the best version of myself from young. But it's just, obviously, you got to hustle, man. You got to survive sometimes. So it was just, yeah.
When you say grandparents from the mum's side, yeah?
Yeah.
And dad's
They were in
parents,
Nigeria.
they were in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned in terms of, I think you left home, what was the age? What was the age when you left home? Did you live on your own or were you living with others?
So I was 14 years old when I lived by
14.
myself. Yeah.
That's
But I feel like 14 back then was different. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I still remember like being 13, 14. Like, obviously my mind's changed a lot, but like I could handle myself, you know, like I didn't feel like scared or timid.
You feel like a kid.
Yeah, you know, so
When you say on your own, I mean, was it with like a older friend? Was it with like an
not by
uncle?
myself. I just basically got a room. They were quite cheap back then in Watford, you know. I think it was about £280 a month or something. But I had the EMA money come in. I was like, you know, doing what I had to do, trying to get a job as well at the same time. And
Going to school at the same time?
I was going to school and then I kind of stopped going to school. I kind of, typical kind of thought dropout, just felt like I was never learning nothing in school. I just feel like when we was early 2000, school was just, it's not like, now I see younger kids, they're so intelligent because there's so much more advancements in school. Whereas back then it was just very mundane, just, you know.
Just go to school for the
You
sake
just
of
go
going
to school, yeah, like, you know. So I always just thought, let me just do things that I want to do, you know, like rather than just do it for the sake of doing it. I never had that kind of mindset of worrying. Because like I said, I had a good mentor, my sister, and she, you know, she would always try and make me make the most of things. So I always had that mindset of just do things, like be productive, but, you know, try and do the best out of your situation, you know.
Did that make you grow even faster? Because you're on your own, you got your own rent to sort out, your bills to sort out.
Yeah.
Was it did you see it as a positive?
No, yeah, definitely, man. Like I think, you know, I was maturing quite quick. Obviously, from a young age, I'd never really hanged around with people younger than myself at that time. I was either older or my age. And like, yeah, it was, I see it as a positive now, definitely looking back, like, you know, because I always think to myself, like, now I'm a grown man, you know, I don't have to, I don't rely on anybody anymore. Like, so it's like, if I could survive when I was a teenager, what am I worrying about now? There's nothing to worry about. So I know I can handle myself now. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if I can get through them years, I know Allah will help me get through these years. So I don't really ever stress, you know. So, yeah.
And in terms of, were you working at that time? Did you get a job or something?
I was trying, man, but it was hard, man. I swear that, and that's where my sincerity, I said, like, even though what I was doing at the time, I was actually trying to find work. I remember I'd try and get, I think it was River Island, and then they would give me like something to try and do. I'll never forget, like, it was a group of people trying to get the job, and they gave us all something to sell, and I'm just like, they'll give me a rubber or something, and they're like, explain how you'd sell this, like just an object. And that's when I just knew, I was just like, this is not me, man. I don't even know what I said. And then I went into another shop that was selling, like, I had a chance to, cause I knew my friend's cousin, she worked in a jewelry shop. So she said she'd get me an interview. I remember going there, then they were asking me something about the diamond or something like this. My brain froze. I was like, I don't have a clue what this diamond is. So it was just like,
This is all around 14, 15 still.
yeah, so it wasn't easy for me. So I'm just like, what am I gonna do? Like, you know, so, and then I started playing football at the age of like 15. So I thought, let me, while I'm on the streets and doing my stuff, let me maybe try and become a professional football player. You know, and I really got into football, and I started training on my physical, becoming stronger and doing push-ups. I remember my coach was like saying to all of us, like, everyone do push-ups when you go to bed and when you wake up. And I remember my body just changed, because he said buy push-up bars, and I remember my body just suddenly changed, and I was proper physical on the pitch, and everyone was noticing it. I think I must have been the only one doing my homework. You know, because I remember I was 17 years old or 16, and I went straight into men's football. And considering I only started playing football at the age of 15, I believe, like, I got in, when I put my mind to something, I go all out. So I was just like, do you know what? Let me focus on this football. And then when I started focusing on football, I think about 17, 18, then 19, then my friend's stepdad had like a business with a railway company, and he got me a job. I was like, yes, finally, now I've got a good job and I'm playing football. I'm off the streets, khalas. You know, so then, yeah, and then from there, that job led to another job. Then I was working in primary schools doing, you know, PE teaching. That was really nice, man. I learned a lot from the kids and stuff like that. And then from there, I just went into PT, and then I was just like, this is my passion now. And then I got to like 26, got a little injury, and I was like, what do I want to do? Do I want to play football still, or do I want to just start focusing on business? Because now I had a clear mindset, you know, because I've become Muslim and stuff. So I just thought, you know what, let me pack football in now. For like, I've had fun. I made a little bit of money playing semi-professional football. I kind of...
Oh, you went into semi, yeah?
Yeah, I went into semi. I played, like I said, I was playing like Hempstead, and these are like decent standards, you know, for semi-pro. I don't know what league they're in now, but back then, like, I was playing with, like, I remember playing, when I realized, like, I'm proud of myself in terms of what I achieved with football, is when I was playing with these two guys. One of their names is Alex Campana and Danny May, and these guys went to my school. Everyone was going to say these guys are going to be professional footballers, like, they were guaranteed, like, especially they both played for Watford. So it's just like, how have they dropped and I've caught up with them? Do you know what I'm trying to say? And we're all at the same level now. And it just made me, I remember just thinking to myself, like, I remember I was Muslim, I was like, alhamdulillah, man, like, you know, like, this is the thing in life. No matter what you put your mind to, you can push through, you know.
100%.
So, you know, just always go for it, man. Don't let no one hold you back.
So you're talking about you was semi-pro, basically. So what made you stop, or what was the reasons for stopping semi-pro?
So where I started personal training, there was a lot of taxing on my body, because I started PT and helping people, lifting weights in the gym and stuff like that. So I started realizing my injuries after a match, I'm just not recovering fast enough, and then that's slowing me down for working. So I had to think, what's making me more money, PTing or football right now? And then it got to a stage where I got really busy with PT, and like, I'm on the gym floor for like 4 or 5 hours a day, plus training myself. So I was just like, in my head, I was just like, do you know what, let me put a hold on football because I did have a little knee niggle to where I couldn't play. So in that period, I was just like, do you know what? Let me have a little break, focus on my business, and then come back to it when I've got a little bit more free time. But I just kind of never really got back to playing semi-professional football. And to be honest, I was going to go back to it the start of last year, but I tore my Achilles playing football.
Didn't you do that?
Yeah, happened to me as well.
Same thing.
Yeah.
That's where they're at the bottom.
Yeah, but I still play semi-pro football with a lot of my friends that I grew up with, because in Watford, so we all play together every Sunday. I think we won 2 leagues in a row. We were smashing it. And so last season, I stopped that due to the injury. I'll probably just go back to that because for me, football's just a bit of fun, health reasons. Most of the things I like to do in life now is just to be healthy and to feel good, you know, just so I'm not extreme in anything no more. I'm just trying to just live out a good life and just be healthy, man.
So with regards to PTAing, because that's what you do now as a business, why PTAing? Why not anything else? Is that something you're passionate about, or?
I just think, like, you know, we're all gifted in one way or the other, and I just found over the years when I was younger, my physical form was quite developed, so I had a lot of people wanting me to train them or give them advice and stuff like that. So I thought, you know what, like, let me make a business out of my expertise. If I could build some more credentials and kind of work on myself, you know, this is a source, this is like my purpose. You know, everyone needs to find your purpose.
At what age was that when you was thinking that?
Like around about 23, man. I think Islam helped me, 100% Islam helped me find my purpose. Because before Islam, I was working in a school, I was enjoying it, but I knew that weren't my purpose. I just knew this was something to teach me. Maybe I used to think maybe this is to teach me for when I have kids one day, get used to like working with kids. Because you learn a lot, man. I learned a lot working with the kids and stuff like that, how their mind is and stuff. So it was good. Like, you know, I was really enjoying it. But I just knew to myself, like, this is not like my ultimate purpose. Like, I need to put my efforts into something, you know? And then I started PT and I was like, this is more like it and I can build now. So now in my head, I'm just like, okay, I'm a fitness influencer now. This is my purpose. This is what people come to me for. I have people ask me questions all the time on social media or like my clients and stuff like that. And I'm giving them good advice and they're loving it. You know, like, oh, I didn't know this. And it's nice for me to see that I'm helping someone because in my mind, I'm always thinking, you know, I'd rather work to help than work to sell. I'm not trying to do something to sell something. I'm trying to help somebody because that's a rewarding job. That's why people go into being a doctor and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to stop them from going to a doctor to just work on your actual health, you know? So yeah, man, like that's pretty much.
I think just a few points. So maybe you just kind of like, well, I think you alluded to it very briefly. You know, that period from 14 till you found this kind of like purpose in terms of personal training. You said you went to kind of like, you done a few jobs. One, I think, was a rail company or something, or train company.
Yes, I was basically, it wasn't the best of jobs, but it was, it got me by. I was basically mopping a train platform at like, from like 12 to like 5 a.m. in the morning. This is why it's a great thing to do to humble you. I'm a young buck. Like, people that are young, you know, you need to, like, sometimes you don't know your purpose, but don't be lazy. Always do something. Whether you have to do a job that you do not like to do, do that for the time being until you find out what exactly you want to do. You know, rather than just like sitting at home, I don't know what I want to do. You know, like I know I've grinded to get to where I want to be, and I'm still gonna keep grinding from the cradle to the grave. I'll still work. You know, whether it's working on my grandchildren or my grandchildren or working on my business. And plus working on my spirituality, I'm always going to be striving. There's always something to do. Don't just sit around just waiting, men and women, you know. Don't sit around waiting just for, you know, something to magically appear, you know, because...
One of the things I wanted to ask also on that, was there a period in that from 14 till, you know, you found your full purpose, personal trainer and so on, a negative period? I mean by negative, you know, with, let's say, you're involved in something you shouldn't have been involved in.
Yeah, many. I've got a lot of marks on my bar. I broke my jaw from fights. You know, like being in a group of males who are very rowdy. Because when I grew up in Watford, it was a bunch of young teens. You know, you had AJ, you had my other friends, you had my friend that played for Watford. Like we're all trying to be dominant. Even with each other, we used to wrestle each other. Like we used to. I remember. Astaghfirullah, like two of my friends, they rushed me and they gave me the worst dead legs. They was beating me up because we used to always beat each other up. But later on, I realized this is good toughening you up. Like, no one's trying to kill you, but we used to beat each other up to where one of my best friends, I remember seeing him cry, like, because of just the anger and passion, like, from getting roughed up. And then it happened to him first, and I felt sorry for him. And then it happened to me, and I couldn't handle it because when I grew up in outside London, I was always known to be the toughest kid at my school just because of my size physically. You know, even though I got beat up at a young age. I got a black eye at like the age of 11 years old. But my sister soon sorted that out with all the guys that done it. She knew all the guys. He went to their house because they were from my school. So, but I was just known to be quite a tough kid. Like, I used to always have fights. And because I lived in an area that was predominantly either Asian or white, I would always be like the one by myself. So I'd fight my white friends that were my friends, but then I had fight because they would call me the N-word. And I would end up having to fight them. Like, I remember fully punching one in the face. Then another one called me and my sister was with me and she was like, beat him up. Like, and I remember I grabbed him up and I threw his shoe in the bush. His mum come to my house because they wasn't rich. So like, to go get it. I just ran into my room. I was like, nah. But my sister used to always say, stick up for yourself. Don't let, no one do these kind of things. She always tell me, stick up. So then when I got rushed in Watford and they all rushed me, I went straight, because it was in my friend's house, I went straight to the kitchen and grabbed the knife. Because in my head, I'm just like, we got to stick up for it. It's 3-on-1. Even though, but I was just so mad. Like, I wasn't even gonna do nothing. I wasn't that stupid, but I was just so mad. I just wanted to see their fear in their face, innit? And then one of the friends, because there was 3 of them, but only 2 of them rushed me, and one of them just grabbed it out of my hand, and then it was calm after that.
But you knew it was a play fight.
When they rushed me, it was the first time I got rushed. Do you know what I'm saying? Because remember, I come into Watford a little bit later, so all of them used to always do that kind of stuff. Like,
so when you're saying rush, because there's a different kind of stories I have as well.
Yeah.
But when you're saying rush, was it like a rush to bring you into the fold?
No, they rushed me, like beat me up to just randomly.
They didn't know you at that time?
No, they knew me. Like, I was to be fair, AJ was one of them. He rushed me. He was one of them punching up my leg. The thing is, he was holding me down, like big arms holding me down. And I wasn't used to another guy being stronger than me. I'll admit he was stronger than me then, even though he's a big guy, like weight for weight. If you're on, and then there's another guy punching my leg, I'm like, and my legs just become dead. And then as soon as they let go, I just ducked out the room. They probably thought, he's probably sulking. Boom, open the door. And then the one that was punching my leg, he jumped behind AJ. And this is why I know AJ is a real guy, because AJ was in front of him and he grabbed my arm, like held it, and I was just still like that. But the fact that he was brave enough to grab it, it shows that guy hasn't had fear. He's not fear. He's never had fear in his heart. And that's why he is where he is today. From a young age, he's raised to not have fear, because he's gone to Nigeria. They was toughing him up there. He's been raised by a great woman, his mother, and his family. He's a solid man, So, but yeah, that's.
So it was just more of a that's what you lot do. It wasn't like, because what you have sometimes in so-called gangs, is when someone's a newbie, a lot of people put them through their paces.
Yeah.
So you might beat them up, you might tell them to go do something.
It's way crazier now. People do stabbing and stuff. Back then, it was all about toughening you up. It was about fighting. The amount of fights we had, the amount of fights I've seen my friends have, I can't even count, It was more fighting back then. Like, even in Watford, it was like, you had like us lot, then you had the Asians, you had the whites. It was always a triangle.
When you say us lot, was you like the mixed race crew?
We was like the mixed race and black. But there was always less of us, but we was always bigger. So when we would go out, like just say to a club or whatever, they would always think that we're older, because we was always quite big. Like, you think AJ at the age of 15 was lanky, like we come like a basketball team. And then obviously I wasn't that tall then, but everyone was quite solid, but we was just less. We was like 300, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'd always have fights, man, always getting fights. And then as we got older, we'd start having fights with people from outside London, because Watford was a really hot spot at one point, I think The Game came there, Nicki Minaj or whatever, and Lil Wayne at their prime of their careers. So it was really a hot spot. So we had a lot of people. So it's just when you're young and you got all that energy, you're using it trying to use it in good, but it's always getting caught up in bad situations as
Did
well.
you lot see yourselves as gangs though, or was it more just you lot friends and just
Nah,
running around?
it was really like a community thing, like a family. That's what one thing. It was never like, because everyone was always on a purpose. Everyone, like, whether they're playing football, and that's why I say that, like, when people are like, oh, bad boy, this, that, the other, like, you know, and they glorify the name bad boy. You're only a bad boy if you're striving to be better. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And you just get caught up in that stuff. Not if you're just trying to live that lifestyle. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's a waste. Like, you're just being a waste. You know what I'm trying to say? But if you're actually in that lifestyle and it's kind of like you have no hope, but you have to work on yourself while you're working on your purpose, but you're getting caught up in things, that's a much more respectable status to have. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So we was always, whether it would be playing football, then obviously even when AJ was in court, he's got Olympic, like, even though he's caught up in one thing, he's still striving to be a better person. He's not just like, oh, I'm going to live the street life and that's it and make my money here. He's not, okay, this is temporary. I'm going to make money elsewhere. It's just a matter of time. And we all kind of had that same mindset, you know. It wasn't about being a gangster or anything like that. It was just about, we got to strive as like youngsters to make it in this society, you know. And that's why I think quite a lot of people come out of Watford pretty, you know, doing well for themselves. You know, so, yeah.
At that age, do you lot have like elders that guide you lot to something better? Obviously, you said you had your sister in your life, but was there so-called elders?
We had a couple of elders, definitely. We had a couple of elders that, but I think our generation of guys were probably the most solid. You know, like, I think our age group was the ones that everyone wanted to be like.
You lot didn't touch drugs and things like that?
Me personally, like, my sister, she was smart. So she, from a young age, even though she become Muslim and stuff, she gave me a cigarette. Because she know if I took it at a young age, I'm going to hate it. Because I start coughing. She said, go smoke. So I went and smoked. And then I started coughing. I was like, forget this. I never want to touch it. Because she was like, don't smoke. Don't be one of them guys on the corner that smokes. So I never got into smoking it, which was good. I tried it, but it was like, I always remember what my sister said, and it never really, because she showed me like it makes me cough and stuff like that, I never really got into it, where some of the other boys did, and then they come out of it, you know. And I would always say to them, like, don't get into it, man, like, don't start doing it. And then some of my friends, they never even tried anything, mashallah, like, ever. And, you know, they've been on the streets and stuff, but they just never, because none of them were waste, man. Everyone was trying to be the best, trying to better themselves, but it's just was young boys trying to develop, you know.
Trying to get out of the situation.
Yeah, and that's why today, if you see my friends I've grown up with, we're all so tight because we have similar mind frames, you know. It's not someone's just like subconsciously we know everyone's got each other's best interest, and that's what's important when you're growing up. Be around people, you know, who want to be the best version of self, you know, no matter what. Yeah, man.
You know, one thing, you know, it's like you mentioned your sister a few times, so Allah Mubarak, you know, may Allah bless her and preserve her. But she's had a major impact in your life. Even the example that you gave, it's like, you know, telling your son, look, put your hand in the fire. Kind of like, you know what?
Yeah.
To understand, look, this is not something that you should be doing because it's something that's going to burn you. Same thing with the cigarettes, in terms of, you know what, letting you know from early age that's not good for you.
Yeah.
And then Islam, the da'wah.
Yeah.
So that's been, you know, inspiration for you. And I think, you know, whatever you do, you know, with the blessing of Islam, the Messenger of Allah said, the one who shows you something, that person will have the reward of what you do.
100%. My sister is a big part. You know, she's always been kind of like the backbone. From a young age, she's taken on a big responsibility from a young age. And, you know, she's got 2 amazing kids now, and they're growing up and they're really smart and intelligent. And I know, like, when I see her now, what I learned from her now, not so much my deen, but I learned from her how a woman should raise her kids. So that's what she teaches me now, is like, okay, look, it's not easy. She always says, it's not easy raising kids, hard work, you know. You know, so don't just think you can just go around having kids with any woman. You know, always said that from young, like, don't just have kids with any woman. Like, you know, she has to be suitable for the job, you know, like, and my sister's very hands-on. She invests her life in her kids. She's not these kind of women that are like, I want to focus on my ambitions and my goals and all that stuff. Like, no, she's a hands-on to make sure her kids are getting the best head start in life as possible, because she knows Me and her, we didn't have that. You know, we didn't have that kind of
foundation.
Yeah, we didn't. Our life was, when we was growing up, our life was very like unstable. Like that's why the only thing that got me by is my sister always used to say as a kid, God loves you. Yeah, so don't worry. Like there'll be a plan for everything. Because there was time when I know my grandparents were going there, I was thinking, what am I gonna do?
After you go.
Yeah, what am I gonna do? Like I used to think to myself, like, where am I gonna go? But then I go to Watford, and I make friends, and I'm like, wow, look at these steps. Like I used to always pray before. Wallahi, I used to pray as a kid. I used to pray that God put me with like-minded people with myself before I'd met AJ or any of these other kind of people. And he put me. There's one of my friends, his name is Liam. When we was growing up, people used to say, you two are like this. You're exactly the same, 2 in 1. Allah just was answering my prayers from young, you know. So, alhamdulillah, like, and we're like this still to today, like very close. And then there's more that I'm very close with as well. Even me and AJ are very similar in certain aspects. So, it's like, God was always answering my prayers. So that's why for me, because I know I survived when I was younger, going through all the madness, like, what is that?
Easier now because you've gone through that trials and tribulations. Whereas someone who's been living a spoon-fed life all their life, as soon as they get to a crux moment, maybe 30s, 40s, they break
down
because they haven't had the years of breaking down to build up. So I think even how Allah, this is the beautiful thing about how Allah sets everyone's life up. You have people who have mums and dads in their life all their life. No issues, they'll say to you they had their perfect life.
Yeah.
But then in their 30s, their 40s, they have all the trials and tribulations. Money goes out the window, parents die, they have a kid that died. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then you have other people that have no mum and dad, they're orphans. And they have to, from a young age, they build these characteristics up. So by the time they're 30, they've seen kind of everything. This is the beauty of Allah. It's like there is no right or wrong way to be living up.
And the thing is, no one's going to go through life with ease.
Of course.
Rich, poor, nobody is going to have an easy life from the cradle to the grave. No one. So you have to keep a strong mindset and just keep your faith in God and His plan for you. Whether you're Muslim or not, just know that there's going to be a plan for you. As long as your intentions are right and your heart's in the right place, just know you should always be striving to be better. One way or the other, even if you get caught up, no matter what you're doing, what madness you're doing out there, just have that intention that you want to do better and just try and take them steps. Like I said, whether it's mopping the floor, being a bin man, whatever, like I've experienced these kind of jobs. Just do it and trust me, it all will be fine and you'll enjoy it. I enjoy the fact that I've done all of these things now because...
In hindsight.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Not at the time when you was mopping.
Bro. And it was hot. You know the underground is a hot, bro. I had this hard hat on and I'm sweating and I'm just like, bro, like this is... But
did you envision stuff? So for me, I have a dispute with when people talk about passion personally. I don't know if I said this before, but I was saying that I don't necessarily believe in passion per se, personally. I think everyone is gifted somehow. Allah has gifted every human being in something, whether it's strength, smart, intellect, talking, whatever it is, everyone has it. But I definitely believe that like you said, you have to do the mopping. You have to do the sweeping. You have to do the late hours, all of that stuff. Whilst also having some form of passion. But I think in the Western world, what we have is everyone chases the passion. And so you're not willing to do the dirty work. You're not willing to do the late hours. You're not willing to do any other stuff because I have to be a footballer. I have to be a this. I have to be a that.
It's either that or nothing.
Exactly.
It's either that or the streets.
There you go. Whereas a person who just does what they need to do every single day, it might be press-ups, it might be learning, it might be reading, but you still have a vision to be a speaker or footballer or whatever. You'll get to that, inshallah. But do the dirty work today. Be willing to be the loser. Be willing to be the McDonald's person, and then become what you're gonna be.
It's just like in the Quran, you plan, but Allah's the best of planners. So you don't know. Like when I was 16, did I know I was gonna be a PT or I'm gonna help lots of people transfer? I didn't think that I was gonna do that. But because I'm always working at something, I've developed skills, mindset, hobbies. Like I've developed these things along the process. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you get there, you're like, rah, that all was happening
for this. Yeah.
But you know, one thing is in terms of, firstly, Allah puts us through certain things and it's a preparation for what is to come. And like what your sister said, look, don't worry, God loves you. Meaning instill positivity in people and let them work towards, what is out there for them. But saying this, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he would always give Sahaba lofty aspirations. You know, sometimes we don't do that with kids. You know, you're stupid, you're foolish. That wasn't the methodology of the Messenger of Allah. He would say certain things which, in his time, it would be like Sahaba being persecuted. He said, don't worry, a time will come, you're going to have leadership. Even when he was making his hijrah, you know, he came across a guy who tried to kidnap him. He said, his name was, what was his name? Suraka ibn Malik, yeah. He said, Suraka, a time will come, the braces of Kisra, the leader of Persia, will be with you. Eventually it happened.
Yeah.
After the death of the Prophet. You know, like that. So that kind of positive messaging, that needs to be given to youngsters and youth.
Exactly. You have this teacher, youngsters, you can't have Islam without love. You just can't. Like, you have to have love for one another. Like, don't be, there's so much negativity out there. Islam has mercy. Don't take it away from each other. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's balance.
Balance, yeah.
It's balance.
Do you in your journey, Abdul Latif, in your journey?
Which one are you talking to?
That's true. That's true. The good-looking one, Akhi. The good-looking one. Is that make you happy? Speak the truth, and we have to speak the truth, Akhi. you encountered negativity from Muslims, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's one Muslim on the face of the earth that hasn't had negativity from another Muslim, to be honest. I think...
Do you think, on top of that though, do you think we are our worst enemies?
Yeah, because I think, like, we expect respect from the outside when people try and create, but we don't respect each other. How can you respect from the outside if you can't respect one another? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, this is impossible. You have to start respecting one another and speaking with wisdom and understanding who your critic is, because everyone can be criticized, but you have to understand who is your critic though. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not just for anyone just to come up to you and criticize you. It has to be, okay, who is my critic? Who are my mentors? Same way people come to me for fitness, I'm their mentor. I say to them, don't listen to just anyone on the gym floor saying, do that, because then you're always going to be like in a state of confusion. There's so many ways. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So pick who your mentors are and let them criticize you all they want. My sister can criticize me all she wants. She's a mentor to me. Your mum and dad can criticize you. They know you more than someone on the street. Do you know what I'm trying to say? They know why you do certain things. Because to one person, they might be like, what you're doing is bad. But then, even though what you're doing is bad, the other person just knows who you are and they know what battles you're fighting. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
So they make excuses for you kind of thing.
Yeah, so be like, just, you know, make excuses if you see somebody. You know, advise them the best way they can, but at the same time, understand is, are you a critic to be are you able to criticize this person? Like, be wise, man. We have to be wise with one another.
And also, is the purpose behind being a critic? You know, is, do I wish good for the brother or sister? Do I want to expose the brother? Do I not want to be judgmental? Do I want to help his situation or her situation, or do I want to make it worse? All of those factors, time, place, context. Sometimes also it's an element of, let's say, knowledge. Somebody you think is doing wrong in your perception, but you know what? It's not actually wrong. You understand? And people will be quick to jump and criticize. Why asking that question? Because sometimes, you know, especially with kind of like, let's say, reverts, converts, it can be hard.
Yeah.
You know, we had a brother, subhanAllah, took shahadah, English brother, Richard, you know, subhanAllah. So Richard took shahadah a few years ago, then he went missing. I'm called, but he's not from here. He's like from outside London, in the countryside. So I thought, where are you? He used to come and see me every few weeks. Then he messaged me one time or emailed me. He said, like, some brothers gave him so much negativity. You know, things which are not even, let's say, important in Islam. You must do this and you must do this and you can't do this. He just said, look, you know what, I couldn't take it no more. So, you know, that as well, it's kind of like, you know.
I think it's worse nowadays because of social media. I think when I first come to Islam, I've kind of seen the shift of how people behave, because it's like, before social media, it probably was only the uncles in the masjid that would criticize you. Like, but now...
Looking at me, yeah? He's looking at me.
But they can do, because they're older. You respect your elders. So when an uncle would criticize me, it would never really bug me, because I have mercy with the elders. You have to have mercy with the elders. But when it's someone your age or younger, and it's just like, they don't know who you are, or they just message you on social media, you just think, why is this person criticizing so on? And you just think, you know what, social media, because there's so many eyes, people think, if I criticize this person, then people will like Follow me. Whereas back in the days, people probably wouldn't. The youngsters probably wouldn't bother to criticize one another because there's no social media. There was nothing pushing you to do that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I would love to, when I was younger, I wouldn't hear people talking really much about debating and all of this kind of stuff because they know they're not scholars, they're not like them kind of people. But not everyone is debating.
Everyone's what's the word for it now when you're like a professor at something and you have no credentials, you have no credentials, but everyone's debating as if like.
And then that's when you just have to question the intentions behind it. So I just me is like that's why like you just think like people are getting really bad. To be fair, alhamdulillah, I feel like I don't really get because I make myself clear. I'm a fitness guy. I'm not perfect. Like I just think Islam's there to perfect me, but it's also accepting my flaws. It's not there to. That's for me to perfect. Islam's there to perfect me, not you. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then obviously there's my mentors and stuff, people that I can go to if they want it, they can correct me. But, yeah, man.
So on the topic, obviously you jumped onto the ladies and that. Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Okay, so how do you see the scene of marriage today? Because from when we speak about marriage...
When did he jump onto the ladies?
He jumped on it because he said about his...
hearing stuff.
I'm hearing stuff. He said about his sister. She's a good woman. She's not like the most of these women, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So from that angle, we're talking about women. Have you got issue with women?
I ain't got.
Are you sure?
I think you do.
No, I love women, bro. But yeah, so what's your view on the state of...
advice on women, I can...
No, you know what? It's smart because you know what he said? I love women. Just one, yeah? Your wife, cool. That's all right.
At least I have one. That's the starting point.
It's important, man. You need a good woman on your side.
How do you see society right? Because obviously I've noticed you was talking about the woman in the beginning. You spoke about masculinity. Obviously, we know at the moment there's a lot of debates between masculinity, femininity, all that's going on around right now. Where do you stand on that?
I think, like I say, I feel like men should be men, taught how to be men from young, and women should be taught how to be women. Women should be understanding that you need to focus on how you can raise a family, not focus on how you can grow a business. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because women look for security in a man, and a man looks for a woman to raise their kid. That's what we're there for. That's what we're searching for.
Some will say right now you're misogynistic. I'm just saying. I know there's going to be people viewing this. A woman can work.
A woman can work, of course. But I'm saying when a woman when a woman comes into the gym and she's training and she's fit and healthy, she's not there to keep making lots of gains. I don't know, maybe, but I feel like she's there to maybe potentially find a husband. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Whereas a man more so, I'm not saying every woman, take that back, but whereas a man is more so there to get gains. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Gains in what sense are we talking about now? Strength?
Strength. It's certain kind of gyms. Obviously, some guys can be...
And according to him, to get a woman as well.
But I'm saying, when you see most men in, like, the guys that are quite jacked, they train more in man-dominated gyms. But what I'm noticing is a lot of these gyms that have a lot of, like, big guys now, I'm starting to notice more women are creeping into these kind of bodybuilding gyms and less into the commercial gyms.
Okay.
Because they know that's where the serious men are when it comes to training. Just for the training, and they're probably thinking they look good. Like maybe they look good, maybe they can, maybe they want to find a woman or something. But
so they're going to the higher kind of strength gyms to find a man, you're saying? Rather than the smaller ones.
The pure gyms and stuff like that. But like I said, that's generally speaking. I'm not saying every woman's like that, but I'm just saying
that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing sometimes. But I think like with women, they can get jobs and stuff like that, 100%. But it's like the way a woman needs to see it is how I saw maybe when I was grinding, mopping the floor. I'm doing this until I succeed my purpose. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, a woman's purpose, most women want to be in a relationship. Even if they say they don't want to be in a relationship, they most want to be in a relationship with a good man.
And man as well.
And men as well. 100%. But I feel like, as a man for myself speaking, I would love to have, be married and stuff like that. And inshallah, soon to be married.
You got the main man
inshallah,
over there.
Soon to be married.
He's got a...
But my mission in life is not oh, I need to have a wife. Like right now, my mission is I need to just, put my head down and work, grind, work on myself, because that will come. Like when a woman sees a man, working on himself, it just naturally comes. You don't need to seek it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And that's why I believe women usually tend to choose the man. Because even when I last got married, I just feel like, I just kind of went into the flow of it, because the woman, she wanted me to meet her parents, and I just went into it, because she chose, so I feel like that's how it should be. But obviously some men do try and seek the woman, and usually them kind of men that are trying to seek the woman usually have some letdown story about, she wasn't serious, this. It's because you're probably seeking it a bit too much.
You're seeking it too much.
Yeah.
How do you see the state of men though? I think as men right now, it's better we speak about more.
So one of the things I was going to mention, because it's not to differ with what I agree in terms of, role of men, role of women, but what's happened,
Fully.
I'm agreeing with you, but you know what, slight, you could say, disagreeing in the sense that
of course, man.
a lot of men are not fulfilling the role of being men.
And that's just another topic. There's so many different scenarios. I can't speak for everything, but yeah, men, like you say, they're not on their purpose. So the first thing for a man to get serious, I believe, is go celibate. Don't stay away from zina and committing sin, because you have a clear mind. Get on your deen, get on your prayer. Same for a woman. If a woman wants to find a good man, get on her purpose, because as soon as you get on your purpose of praying, that's going to bring everything else about. If a man's going to start, if he wants to be focused and get on his purpose, start praying. That's going to get you on your toes to start off with. It's going to make you more utilizing time. It's going to get, when I pray Fajr in the masjid, the start of my day is so productive naturally. My brain is just thinking of all these things to do. Or what should I do? Play PlayStation, fall asleep, and then wake up and a quarter of my day is gone. You're not fulfilling your purpose like that 100%. Spiritually. And then how are you going to fulfill it in a marriage? Because before you get married, you have to understand that the woman has rights. You need to understand the fiqh of marriage. Don't just say I want to get married and you haven't even studied the fiqh of marriage or you understand it. You have certain things is a responsibility. But if you're not on your purpose as a man, a woman's going to sense that. She's going to be like, you know what, like, he looked good from the outside, but now, I don't know, he seems confused.
Well, yeah, because it was a facade. It's a facade, and I think probably in today's age, especially when I read more books of the past and read how relationships was, you can definitely see, like I was just telling you, the book I was reading about Shoe Dog, and I was telling the boys, even in that relationship between a man and a woman, you can see, even though the woman worked, I'm talking about the Nike owner's wife at the time, I think she was 10 years younger than him.
Yeah.
She was a very smart woman. She went to uni, she learned all of that stuff. But she was by his side. She was helping him make money. Yeah. They was making more money. They lived that life. She was at home looking after their kids. She had more kids, and they built wherever they built, one of the richest men today. So when two people, man and woman, work together in unison, they create something great. Yeah. But when you're both competing with each other, you're trying to be a money person, you're trying to be a money person. You want to go gym twice a week, you want to go gym twice a week. You want to look after the kid twice a week. You know who I saw a good video of? What's that brother? Asian brother. He said something about the eclipse. When you got the what's his name? Sajid, mashallah. Very beautiful and analogy. Yeah. Said if you have the moon and the sun and they override each other, what happens? He said the eclipse. And what happens when that happens is that the moon is weakened and the sun is weakened.
Okay.
And it's similar to when a man and a woman override. Yeah. The man doesn't know his role, the woman doesn't know her role. What happens? Both of you are weakened.
Yeah.
Very beautiful analogy. And I think that's what's happening kind of today, is that the man has definitely lost his way, and a lot of men have lost their way.
Yeah, because sometimes men look at like, oh, what does she do? Like, what's her career?
That's a myth. How are you thinking like that?
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like, no, a woman naturally wants to attach herself to your goals and your purpose so she can help strive that. You know, a woman will do, okay, what do you need done? Do you need to help you with this, help you with that? She doesn't want you to be like, oh, come and help me for my, do you know what I'm trying to say? Unless she's solely looking at you as a business kind of partner, not as a spouse, you know? And I think a lot of men, the problem with us, a lot of men, we complain too much. A woman doesn't want to hear a man complain. A woman wants to hear a man solving the problems. And she'll probably make problems just so that she can see how much of a man you are.
Why are you laughing, Imam? I know what I'm laughing.
You're gonna get into trouble.
You have to solve the problem. It's like if you know.
Not all the problems though. I'll kind of push you back in the sense that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when he had issues, he would go to Khadija. He would go to
but he's not complaining.
No, he's not complaining. He's saying this is an issue.
That's fine.
And she'll
That's
give
not
advice.
complaining.
Yeah,
I'm saying men love to complain.
Okay, like kind of throw your stuff down
yeah,
and
like, I don't
okay.
know. Not yeah, of course you go to when you have an issue. Of course you go to your mum, you go to your wife. That's not.
Okay.
But at the end of the day,
the attitude of how you see the issue rather than the issue itself.
That's getting advice.
Yeah.
It's not complaining. It's advice or shura consultation, which is generally okay.
Yeah, like the animals that didn't adapt got extinct. So you got whatever you're doing in life, you need to adapt. Otherwise, you're going to be extinct. You're not going to be able to continue. You know, you have to adapt through problems in life. You know, no matter what it is, and that's what your wife is looking for you to do, is to adapt, and she will help you, but don't sulk. Get it done, man.
One of the things your sister mentioned is don't just have kids. Yeah. That reminds me, everywhere. It reminds me of one of our teachers. He asked a question in the class. Yeah, we were studying. He said, "When do you start cultivating your children?" Yeah. So, what would be your answer?
You know the answer.
No, go on. So
When would I start cultivating my kids?
Yeah, that's what his question was. When do you start cultivating your children? So somebody said, some of the students are, as soon as they're born. Some said 7. Yeah, when you reach 7 years old, that's when you start teaching.
Isn't it Ali bin and Abi Talib that said something about the different ages? 7.
No, what's your kind of like, when do you start?
When do you start cultivating, like as in my manners, etiquettes, things like this?
Yeah.
I've been doing it with my kids. I got 4, so I've been doing it maybe from about 3.
Okay.
3. So like my son, if I know he's gonna do something naughty, I say, look, no.
What would you say? Abdul Latif? Think about what your sister said as well. So
that's what I'm gonna say, because think about my sister moved out at the age of like 15, so I was young, and everything she was telling me when I was young, it was absorbing. Like I would try and get her to say it to my friends, because say like my friends would like be naughty and stuff, like throw eggs at cars and all this kind of nonsense, knock and run and stuff. I was too scared to do it, because my sister installed in me, God's always watching you. God's always watching every action you're doing. He's watching you. So like I was just like, man, like she's always telling me this, and then she's telling me stop, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm just listening there. So I would say definitely in your adolescent years, because and the thing is, I started getting more troublesome when I lived by myself, because I didn't have the reminders in my ear. But if I was living with my sister, coming home to her, I wouldn't have done half of the things I did in my teens.
Because sense of guilt.
Yeah, even though it was still in there, but the voice was echoing away. It was going further away. So like until when I got into my 20s and I found Islam again, it was like, boom, it all come back, And then obviously I had that sense of fear in God again. And then I tried to, do the right things.
I think what she was actually saying, Abdul Latif, and this is what the teacher, so one of the students said, look, as soon as they're born, the teacher said, you're close, but you're wrong. Yes, this is Medina. The teacher said, you start cultivating them when you choose your spouse. Basically what your sister was telling you.
Yeah, you're right.
Before you choose your spouse, you're thinking of cultivation of children.
Yeah.
Look how many people, men and women, make mistakes in that.
Yeah, that's why if I'm getting to know a woman and I'm like, she's like, what do you want in a woman? The first thing I'm saying is a woman to raise my kids. That is rule number. That's one of the, obviously the deen as well, that goes without saying. But because obviously you have to have the deen to raise my kids, that's what I'm trying to say. But you have to be able to raise a kid.
That's the non-negotiable, right?
Yeah, that's that there. And if I see that in you, that's the best compliment I could give you. Do you know what I'm saying? Not like it's the best.
The best mum.
Yeah, like if I say that to a woman, she's like, "How's that it?" I'm like, if I say I can see that in you,
that's the best thing I can say.
Like, what? I'm basically saying you could like. If I would let any woman have my kids, I would probably be married and had kids by now.
Yeah.
But I don't see that in just any woman.
That's the golden trophy right there.
Yeah. So, and I think because of my sister, it's made it harder for me.
Because she's a good
Because she set good standards. You know what I'm saying? She set high standards from young. So I've been seeing my sister from young and how a woman is. My sister, she doesn't show off. She's not like these girls, just like she used to cuss all of these kind of girls before Instagram happened. So when Instagram happened,
It's even worse.
it's even what, like I'm seeing it like because she used to have friends that she used to tell me about, and she used to stop hanging around with them. But just because they're always talking about boys and guys, and like they're just doing everything for the like my sister's never been about that. She's always been a motherly figure, whether it's helping me. She was when I first ever went cinema, she took me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like she was doing all these things with me.
But I could see just by knowing your little background of how you was raised, I can see that.
Yeah.
Because she fell into the role of a mother from a young age.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So she had to play the role of being a mum from already a young age. She didn't have the luxury to be a so-called young girl playing around and hairdos and cinemas.
Yeah.
She had a little brother, mum and dad weren't really around.
Yeah.
She has to play that role.
Yeah.
So now her being a mum, it's normal. She's been doing it.
Yeah.
You understand me?
True.
And I think when you, like I say to you, sometimes when you go to African countries, because that's where I'm from, I can only talk about them, you see 13, 14-year-old women, not girls, women. Why? Because they've lived a life of what? Trials and tribulation from a young age.
Yeah.
They understand what it means to be a woman. They've done the little 6, 7-year-old playing around and henna in their hands. They've done that. Now 13, 14, they're big women.
Yeah.
13, 14 in this country, snot's coming out their nose and they're running around trying to make up. You understand me, man?
Yeah.
They're still little girls because they've been raised up like little girls.
Yeah.
So sometimes due to the trials and tribulations you go through from a young age, it creates who you are in the future.
No.
You understand? So if you want that woman, you might have to go to the bushes still.
The only thing with that is, I think, you know, with your sister and her being here, UK, London, and so on, it was still a choice.
Yeah.
She could have easily chose something else and said, look, you know what? Look,
100%,
I'm young. I
yeah.
don't need to look after my brother. Yeah, why should I need to look after myself and my own life. But again, that just shows actually the good character that Allah Ta'ala blessed her with. So yeah, may Allah reward
I just
her.
think she's there's women like her. She's not. There's other women like her, maybe even better than her. She's just got the old school soul. That's it. Like traditional. I remember hearing something like, "There's not really any traditional women anymore." Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
Probably out there, but it's hard to probably
but it's
find.
harder. Yeah, there definitely is some out there. 100%.
Why are you smiling, man, when I say this?
And it's not like I'm not saying like I'm struggling to find.
Yeah.
Because I'm not putting myself in that category. Because I believe there is. So guys, there is women out there that are traditional. It's not like, but in order to get these kind of women, it's all down to Allah and He'll provide.
100%. And you have to be the man she would want.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? I think that for me, this whole, I always say to Imam when we talk on behind the scenes, even though we might speak on women, I 100% think the burden of whatever,
Yeah.
the burden of proof is on the man first and foremost. When the men fix up, when the men lead, when the men become men, righteous, soft, loving, caring, strong, all of that in one. Because you know they will try to put you in a little box like, oh, you start talking about men, it's all about strength and masculinity. No, the man can cry, the man can be soft, the man can be loving, the man can be all of that stuff in one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And then the woman would follow the man. I remember I was saying to you, when we used to do gang, and was involved in gangs or whatever, the girls that you used to see, like good girls, they stayed good girls until they saw us becoming bad boys. When they saw us becoming bad boys and doing thugs and all that kind of stuff, they wanted to be with us, they started acting like that. It wasn't like we saw them being bad girls and we wanted to be like them. They wanted to be like us.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say to you?
100%.
And it's the same with this whole masculinity, femininity. What do women wear when they go to work? They wear a blazer. Who was wearing blazers? Men was wearing blazers. They wear trousers. Who was wearing trousers? Men was wearing trousers. So you got boxer men, you got boxer women. You got football men, you got football. It's usually the woman following what the man does. So when the women fix up and stop playing around, stop ploughing, stop drinking, stop whatever they're doing, the women by default will have to follow because they want their men.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Because that's what they want. Deep down is what they want, you know.
Exactly.
But like you say, I just think, you know, for people that are looking to get married, it's like you have to understand what's the verse in the Quran, the good for the good and the bad for the bad. You know. So you have to make sure your heart is in a good place. You know, regardless of what you're doing, just make sure you have a good heart, and you'll find a woman with a good heart. You know? And if you've got a bad heart and you're just like, I need a woman, and you're trying to find a woman to help you get better, then you're gonna get someone on your level that's probably gonna make you worse. You know, so making sure your heart is in the right place, and then you'll find a good woman. No doubt. You know, that's why I'm speaking like I'm a married man. But like I did from experience, I'm 33 years old, and you know, alhamdulillah, like you
Inshallah,
know,
you find it, akhi.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah, you're a righteous wife, inshallah.
I mean,
Cool. And we've done the hour, but let's try to wrap up the last question. What we usually do towards the end, because I think we haven't spoken about many things, your business, but I think time-wise we're going to try, and maybe another time we'll talk about that side as well, inshallah. But finally, you're 33, mashallah. You've gone through obviously a lot in your life. You've seen a lot, mashallah. What is the kind of pinnacle, maybe advice that you probably tell yourself regularly that other people can benefit from?
So what people can benefit from, first and foremost, I'd say make dua for good companionship, because it's hard to go in this cold world by yourself, man. Like there's only so far you can go by yourself. And I think the problem with too many people nowadays is they're very selfish minded and they want to do things by themselves. You know, they think they don't need anybody. Yes, being by yourself is better than having bad people, but make dua for the good people. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I made dua from a young age to be around like-minded people to get to where I am today. Because without them people, I wouldn't have had, when I traveled to Watford, I wouldn't have people like AJ, who I used to stay at his house. His mum's like my second mum. My boy Liam, his mum was like my second mum. Like, I wouldn't have had these people if God didn't answer my prayer. So make sure you're around like-minded people and make that prayer for that. Then secondly, I would say just focus on balancing your life spiritually, mentally and physically. Make sure that you're working on all of these aspects. Don't just put all your eggs in one basket. Even if it's just spiritual, the Prophet said, don't be extreme.
Of course.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that there goes to show, balance it out. Focus on your mental health, focus on your spiritual health, focus on your physical health. Doesn't need to be nothing crazy. Just balance that out. And then from there, you'll start building brick by brick and you'll become a real, like a good guy or a good woman, and your life will be at ease. Even if you go through trials and tribulations, you can hack them trials and tribulations because you see the bigger picture, you know, and you know your destination is paradise. So you can start working towards that. When Allah puts you on a good path, nothing can shake you off that. So I'd say that these are the two main things: good companionship, and then obviously just making sure, if you are working on your spirituality, you know, make sure you put it into practice. Things like smiling at one another, being happy, seeing your family. Like, don't say you're spiritual and then you'll have bad relationships with your wife, your family, your kids, your friends. Like, how can you say you're spiritual? Because if you're working at your spirituality, that stuff should be all good in that department.
It should reflect.
It should reflect. So if you find that you're trying to be praying and stuff like that, but you're having bad relationships with friends and family, and you're debating and you're arguing, your heart's getting heavy, then your spirituality ain't right. You're something that's Allah telling you, like, you need to sort something out. Whether it's doing fasting, whether it's doing extra dhikr. Like, they say everyone wants to have the appearance of big beard and, you know, looking Muslim. This is like effortless. Anyone can have a big beard.
Comes naturally.
But when you're having a bad day and you smile at one another, that's an effort. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That's hard to do. So put like little practice in, because energy, focus on being positive with one another. You smile at someone, it's a sunnah, it's a good, you know.
It makes the other person feel good.
The other person feel good. And then from there, that person, now you're close to them. That's how I started being friends with AJ. Just come on his bike, smiled. And then we just started talking. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He could have easily just went straight past me. Yeah. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And just like, you know, but like, meet people, man. Like, the world is big. We've got to meet one another. We've got to, you know, make friends with one another. Have a lot of love, share, make your heart big enough. You know, the Prophet says, had a massive heart. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You know, and that's how you can measure, because, you know, you might have your heart might be big for like just your family. Okay, that's the size of your heart. Then it might be big for like your community. That's the size of your heart. Then it may be your country. But the Prophet had the heart for the whole world.
And people you'd never seen.
Yeah. So if you are Muslim and you're praying and stuff, and you're not got no good companions, or you're not, you know, got any good relationship, then your heart must be very small. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Your heart must be small, because yeah, you're doing all these actions, but they clearly are not amounting to anything. So make sure you're putting your spirituality into practice, and that way your heart will be bigger, you'll be happier, you'll be a nice person to be around, and your life will just be it will be much better, man.
100%. I think even to finish off, when you was talking about friendship, you know the story of Amr ibn As when one of the companions asked the Prophet, he said, "Who's your best friend?" And he's telling people like, yeah, he's gonna tell you that I'm his best friend.
Yeah.
So he's asking the Prophet like, who's your best friend?
Yeah.
Thinking he's gonna say, yeah, it's gonna be you. And he goes, it's Abu Bakr. And he goes, yeah, I know, not Abu Bakr, but he's saying, like, no, he said Aisha, sorry, didn't he?
Aisha, yeah.
He said Aisha, he said, my wife.
Yeah.
Some of us would never say our wives, we'd be like someone else. But he said his wife, mashallah. It shows the relationship he had is with his wife. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Then he said, no, we're not talking about your wife. We know that's personal.
Yeah.
You know, one of the men, give us to one of the men. Thinking still he's going to say me. Goes Abuha, like her father. Do you get what I mean? But the point is, the fact that he came to him shows you that everyone thought that's his best friend. He thinks he's his best friend. Aisha is his best friend. So everyone, he's got a personal relationship with them.
This is it. SubhanAllah, you said that because when someone says who's your best friend, yeah, wallahi, I didn't even know that hadith.
Yeah.
But I always say to people, I have more than one best friend, but for different departments.
Yeah.
Like there's some things I would never speak about marriage or relationship because this guy hasn't been through that experience. So why am I going to speak to him even though he's a close friend? There's some friends I might, if my pockets are short, I might go be like, I need some financial help because they just got you like that without even thinking. Then I might have another friend, just for the gym, I need that push because this friend can't do that in the gym, so he's my best friend in the gym. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have different friends for different reasons, but you love them the same. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
And then you might have some friends for your soul, your spiritual, your Islam, that just bring that peace and tranquility. Everyone's just like, just have Muslim friends that get rid of everyone else, but no, because take the good out of what you have around you. Don't just, because they might need to get good from you.
Of course. And that's the key you get from that story, is that he treated people as they're his best friends in that moment. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you have that energy with everyone, akhi, you can get nothing but love.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say to you? And that's something
really beautiful that I heard that now. I didn't actually know about that. So, alhamdulillah, I've been practicing that.
Inshallah, I hope we all practice it. Because it's a very unique characteristics that everyone feels you're their best friend.
I think the hadith was love.
Was it love?
Yeah, who's the most beloved person to you? Said Aisha. And then who? Her father. So it's connected, I suppose. It's friendship and love. But it's
even on that, there's this other book. It's called How to Win Friends or something like that. And on one of the topics, he said, treat people how a dog treats people. Think about it. He said, treat people how a dog treats people. What happens when people have dogs? Why do they like dogs? When a dog sees his owner, what does it do? Wags its tail, jumps on him. It's like it's happy to see the owner.
Yeah.
It doesn't just go into the corner in the room. Think about being a wife and a husband. As soon as the father comes in, a woman goes into another room. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. If she came in acting, not acting like a dog, but the emotions of a dog, it wants to see its owner. It wants to see all of that. It shows such happiness, all of that. The person is infatuated by that.
Yeah.
So when that person wants to come home, what does that person think of? He's thinking of the woman, he's thinking of the friend.
A disclaimer on this, he's going to get us into trouble, Abdullah.
No, but
so it's basically,
take the metaphor. Don't take the brothers can only think literally.
No.
The metaphor. What's the metaphor here?
It's to the energy you need.
Thank you. It's the energy the dog shows.
Because one of my questions when I take a client, you ask them what, like, say I'm like doing my constellation call. I ask them, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies and what do you find fun? But when I say I'm excited by it, because I want to be excited about their hobbies as much as they are. Of
course.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I'm not just like, what are your hobbies? Like, what? I'm like, yo, what do you like to do? Like, what are your hobbies? What do you do in your like? And then they're telling, like, that's sick, man. Like, that stuff is cool
because they're bouncing off your energy.
Exactly. And then it's just like and that's why you can always tell. Like, when you say that you want to do something, like sometimes I've had friends in the past and like I really want to do this, and you tell them, and then they're not really like, their reaction is like, yeah, okay, cool. Then you're like, do you know what? That's me saying that. That's enough of me explaining that story to you, mate. I'm gonna tell this to one of my real friends because it's your energy.
You can sense it.
You can sense that they don't actually care. They're not like. And then you say it to one guy, and then like, or you send a message like, oh, I want to do this, or you send them something. They're like, fire X flames, sick. Do you know what I'm trying to, because they actually genuinely have love for you, and that's how you can. I give my friends in 3 tiers when I meet someone. The first tier is just associate. You fall under associate. Then okay, then you have people, they do stuff for you, like, you know, they help you. They,
reciprocal.
Yeah, but you don't see them, you don't speak to them all the time, but you just know they got your back. That's a second tier, like that's a good level friend to have. And then the third tier is they do all of that, but then you can tell them everything and you can speak to them whenever you just feel like, if I want to go to your house and sleep at your house, they'll be like, yeah, I've got you. That's a higher tier. But to get into that tier, there has to be years put in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like back and forth. And sometimes people that I meet don't even get to this tier, but somehow I've put them in this tier. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you think you see something in them, and then when it's time for them to have your back, boom, they ain't got your back. They ain't got that energy. So then you just chuck them back into, okay, associate. You know what I'm saying? You're going right back into that tier because I thought something, I saw your energy, I peeped it, you didn't have that energy, you say something and it's khalas. I see what it is. Like, yeah, your companions I have love, but you got to be smart, you know.
Something interesting, you know, so you mentioned about smiling. So there's a companion and he was quite young, Abdullah bin Harith. He said, I never saw anyone more smiling than the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him. So even that character of energy, you know, whether it's smiling, giving salam, shaking hands.
Being like a dog.
No. That's clearly not.
Cut. Love, bro. Nah, man, we can't use that.
Can you just take him out, Akhi, with a punch or something?
Yeah, so you know, Imam don't read no other books, but Islamic books, you know. It's like, dog, no, not dog. Haram. Anyway, Jazakumullah khair, bro. It's been very, very beneficial and fun. Inshallah, we'll meet again on another topic. And Jazakumullah khair for everyone watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Is this live, by the way?
It's not live, no.
It's out, man. It's out already, Akhi.
Thinking, why are people calling me, bro? Can I see my face or something?
No, that's it.